Mr. Akshar, I believe that you're now fully recovered. We're going to discharge you this afternoon. Do you have anyone who can bring you some fresh clothes and pick you up? The doctor asked. It's been 3 months since Akshar was hospitalized with internal injuries, and he's still trying to wrap his head around everything that happened that night. Akshar replied to the doctor, he'll call somebody in a moment, and yes, he'll have transportation. Akshar thought to himself, finally, I can sleep in my own bed for a change. The hospital bed and the beeps from all the monitors sometimes kept Akshar awake at night. He motioned for his phone and started dialing a number. He heard her tender voice on the other side of the line, and she was excited for him to be calling. She finally heard some great news. Then she asked, so how am I going to bring you clothes? I don't have a key to your home or anything. Akshar said to check your cash app, pick me up a tracksuit, some fresh drawers, and I'll wear an XL everything. She thought to herself, XL everything, huh? Her phone buzzed. A Cash App notification for $150 flashed across her screen. As she was walking out of the door, she called her friend Megan. She started talking to Megan. Akshar's getting out of the hospital today. I looked at the date. It's been like 3 months. I know he's going to be excited to finally stay in his own house. She said, I can't wait to stay over his house too, right? They both laughed in agreement. Kamala said, Megan, I just don't know. It's been too long. It's not the knight in shining armor thing. There's just something. I don't know. I don't know how to say this, but there's something godly about him. I've been coming to see him every evening after school, and I can tell he is genuinely excited to be remembered. As much as they have him tied into the hospital, he's still keyed out in the real world too. Kamala told Megan she's about to get him some fresh clothes and take him to his house. The ladies then switched conversation to talking about Megan. Kamala asked her about her new love interest from the club. She said in her most fervent voice, girl, he got some plans, and they laughed again. They continued with some girl talk as Kamala was driving to the mall to pick up some items for Akshar. She ended her conversation with, you deserve this. Everything is going to go so great for you. Then she hung up and she nearly sprinted into the mall. As Akshar was packing his backpack and his briefcase, he kept wondering to himself what made him so special. He was told after the incident he passed out and he was in a coma for 9 days. As he started to wake, he remembered hearing that weird voice shout, Vishnu. He Googled who and what Vishnu was, but he couldn't understand what made a man go crazy and call him this name. Was he really possessed by a demon? His internal dialogue asked him, why me? He just couldn't believe it. What makes him so special? I am one man. His internal dialogue started. What if I'm afraid if something happens again? I've always kept it together. I have always sustained when it mattered. I will not be defeated. Akshar kept up with his business, and actually, once word spread of his actions, he secured 2 new contracts that will start within the next 3 months. After buying the requested items, Kamala wondered what the extra money was for. She texted Akshar and told him there was still nearly $80 left. He replied, that's for lunch and drinks. This time, you get to pay. Oh, so this is how you're going to sneak in a second date? They both laughed using emojis. Sure, that's what it is, Akshar replied. Kamala was on her way and she had a smile from ear to ear. She even did a little spin before getting in her car. As Kamala is driving, she too is having an internal dialogue. 3 things kept repeating in her head. Why her? Akshar is so understatedly perfect. This thing they have going on is definitely going to work out. At the stoplight, she looked in the mirror and licked her firm mahogany lips and told herself, this is going to be so great. She was thinking about Monarch for lunch. She always wanted to eat there. She recently read about the live entertainment they have during their hours. She made a quick left into the garage. Her hands started to get sweaty. Her heart was beating faster. She's wondering to herself if Akshar is going to make it official. But he's just getting out of the hospital. That would be selfish, she thought to herself. As she's walking into the hospital, she gains her composure and she's on the way to the 11th floor. She walks out of the elevator and the nurse stops her. She wished them both well and noted that she had been in every day to see him. She smiled and said, "Thank you." As she walked into the hospital room, she said his name in a very sultry yet comedic tone. "I got everything you wanted me to get." His eyes lit up as soon as he saw Kamala. He jumped off the bed, gave her a hug, and took the bags from her hands. He then said, "Let me go to the bathroom and get changed. I can't wait to get out of here." Akshar moved into the bathroom and closed the door. He turned on the faucet and splashed his face with water. Deep in his mind, he still held the fear of that fight in his soul. And he wondered why Kamala kept coming back to see him every single day. As he finished changing his clothes, he left the bathroom. The charge nurse was in and had the discharge paperwork waiting for him. He was excited to finally be leaving. He signed the forms, folded the copies, and slid them into his backpack. She asked him if he was ready to leave, and he nodded his head in affirmation. As Akshar said his goodbyes and received well wishes, they got onto the elevator, and as the door closed, Kamala said, "Welcome back to the world, hero. I found a place for lunch, but I'm not telling you, so either you guess or you'll see when we get there." They walked to the parking lot, and Akshar said in a coy tone, "Oh, look, another parking lot. Are you trying to recreate the first time I met you?" he asked. She laughed and said, "No, not this time." The chemistry between them was instant, and it only grew deeper and deeper as time passed. They leave the parking lot and zoom onto the highway. She gets onto the 83 expressway and then gets off at the Jones Falls exit and hits a right turn at the light. Kamala got excited and pulled into a parking spot. She jumped out of the Jeep and ran to his side and opened his door before he could open it for himself. She then curtsied, and with a British accent, she says, "Sire, we have arrived." Akshar then said in an inquisitive tone, "Monarch?" Kamala then replies, "Yes, I had this on my new place to try list. Come on," she shouted. Akshar. Akshar. He felt his friend Khalif touch him and shake him a bit. He turned to his friend and smiled. "I think I'm ready now." He zipped his white sherwani adorned with golden flowers. Suddenly, it all made sense to Akshar. He understood what Kamala saw in him. Though Akshar thought of himself as a mere man, those around him, those who witnessed his deeds, those who experience him every day, they know him. They see Brahman. She was a teacher. I do not know what she saw in me. Alright, so I know that end took y'all for a loop. My bad, y'all. I had some very creative issues with finishing this story out. I made the characters too perfect, and I was actually looking for some inspiration myself. So I believe that I found it, and I wrote a little twist in at the end that was really unexpected. So I hope that you guys liked it. I definitely enjoyed how the story turned out. However, they do say he who has the pen writes his own destiny. Perhaps we've written something very, very awesome. Perhaps not. Only time will tell. I'll see you guys real soon.